Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. The most gold ever stored in one place is not in Fort Knox. Believe it or not, let's explore. I was doing a little research on gold and found a really fascinating article from Forbes about somebody who actually worked at the place where more gold is stored than anywhere else ever. And that is, believe it or not Fort Knox, Kentucky. And one would think that would be the place where the most gold has ever been stored, and that's the United States' gold. But no, because of what happened in World War II, and what led to the Bretton Woods Agreement, the most gold ever stored is in one place, but it's not just our gold, it's of the gold of other nations as well. And I'm talking about the Federal Reserve's location in New York, the New York Federal Gold Vault. That's right. The largest accumulation of gold in human history is located deep underneath the heart of Manhattan's financial district, at the New York Federal Reserve Bank, according to the article here from Atlas Obscura, which outlines places that you don't normally know about or learn about. Well, in this case, there's a lot of gold there, and that was where, very close to what happened on 9/11, which are coming up on the 20-year anniversary of, it hit home in that financial district. Those towers fell. It was very close to where this is. So, some 80 feet beneath the sidewalk level, the Fed's special vault is built into the bedrock and entrusted with deposits from central banks across the globe. Inside sits 7,000 tons of glittering gold bars, around 5% of all the gold ever mined. And that's pretty amazing to think about. I believe the United States in total has over 8,100 tons, but I guess some of that is broken apart and is not stored at Fort Knox. A lot of this is our gold too. So I thought that was quite interesting. And they're in the form of bars. And this is the closest thing that I could show you that would represent those bars, is some 100-gram bars from Credit Suisse. And who knows, maybe there's examples of these in that vault. The only way into the vault is via a cylindrical entryway that rotates at the turn of a wheel. A silver-shaped pie chunk of the cylinder has an opening, and when properly aligned with the entry hallway, allows access to the treasure inside. Inside there are 122 separate mini vaults, one for every country, plus a library vault for account holders with smaller deposits. The Fed considers each gold bar to be non-fungible and unique because of variations in purity and weight. As a result, they carefully track each of the deposits, so if you give them a particular bar, you can later retrieve the exact one. And that kind of flies in the face of what we've been learning about rehypothecation. I wonder if some of that has been going on and we don't know about, but nonetheless, fascinating details for sure, if that's really true what's going on there. The Fed's gold vault doesn't cater to millionaires and billionaires, though. Its customers are sovereign nations. While the list of account holders is a closely guarded secret, state-run banks like the Bank of England, Banque de France, Deutsche Bundesbank are likely clients. Foreign countries store their gold in New York because it's convenient and central location. Well, we got Central Park. You've got the UN is there. So if you're having a UN conference and your country wants to see the gold, well, hey, maybe the Fed will let you down there to take a peek in your room. One of the perks of a central deposit location is that countries can transfer gold amongst themselves by simply ordering bars to be transferred from one compartment to another. for a modest handling cost of $2 per bar. And there you go. $2 to move a bar. Not a bad deal. Perhaps the most amazing thing about the New York Federal Gold Vault is that it offers public tours. Although bookings are currently unavailable now, that's remarkable considering the security at similar facilities like the Gold Bullion Depository at Fort Knox, which bars the likes of reporters, members of Congress, and even former presidents. And more on that in a future video. We'll talk a little bit about that and look a little bit, because there's more to this story for sure. But back to this article from Forbes about an article. The author here is a contributor, Jack Gutentag, and why the gold isn't necessarily so shiny and bright and glittering for him. And it's we learned about the major chunk of the world's gold and the portion that constitutes the reserves of most of the central banks in the world is held in these enormous vaults and below street level. And by the way, 80 feet down, when you think about that, rooms full of these bars, that below, it's got to be below the water table. So apparently they have this bedrock and the protection there, kind of like the bathtub for the World Trade Center, which kind of kept the water out. More than likely, that's kind of the same thing. They got this hard bedrock, which is impervious to moisture, is my guess. So it makes a perfect way to be able to store. And of course, the whole island of Manhattan has got to be pretty strong to be able to hold all that weight of concrete and steel from the skyscrapers and buildings and the density of weight of all of the population and structures and infrastructure nearby, for sure. And so, and this author refers to these rooms as cribs. Can you imagine a crib and with all that gold in it? And it's fascinating. And his involvement with the New York Feds is he was employed there in the late 1950s. A key feature of the vaults, which was not mentioned in the prior article, is that each one has 2 locks with different combinations. One set of combinations is in the custody of the safekeeping division of the bank, which has a number of employees. The other set of combinations is in the custody of the bank secretary, who has access to the chiefs of the various divisions of the bank. The secretary rotates vault duty, with each chief serving for a week. When I became the division chief, the author, the occasional vault duty came with it. And so he had to arrive each morning at 6 to open the vaults. It was not an onerous duty. He had the bad luck, however, of drawing a week in which the examiners from the Board of Governors in Washington arrived on a Saturday. That meant an unwelcome 6th day of early rising. When the employee from safekeeping and the author had to open the vaults on Saturday, he said goodbye to him, which was followed by the following exchange. So here is the safekeeper saying, after he said he was going home, where are you going? And he says, home, of course, this is Saturday. You can't go home, says the safekeeper. You have to remain until 5 p.m. And then the author says, since you don't need me to close the vault, why must I stay? Well, the safekeeper says, in the event that there is an air raid, I will have to shut the vaults, and if the all clear sounds before 5, I will need you to help me reopen them. And then the author says, well, I see. I'll be in my office if you need me. And then he went home. So fascinating indeed. Now, that part of the article where it says, then I went home, I wonder if that means that he just left him there hanging, or if he thought it was too paranoid, or if he really did stay until 5 and then went home. And apparently a little bit of concern at that time, because it didn't say exactly when it was, but the 1950s, well, that's kind of the height of the Cold War, and so air raids and the like would probably be of concern during that time. But nonetheless, fascinating indeed, and quite a telling story about where most of the gold is stored. So when you have 7,000 tons being stored in one place, glittering gold, with probably the vast majority of that being the United States' gold, that means if we have 80 over 8,000 tons. That leaves not a whole lot, or not as much, in Fort Knox, but still a lot. Heck, 2,000 tons is a lot, 3,000 tons. So, but nonetheless, the most gold ever stored in one place, not being in Fort Knox, but in New York, and 7,000 tons. That's a lot of weight bearing down on that bedrock, for sure. And as you know, gold is a very dense metal, hugely dense. So, fascinating story indeed. Thought I'd share this with the community. I'm going to be posting a follow-up video on this as well too, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoy videos like this, I want to encourage you to please rate this video. It helps the algorithm. Share it within the community. Comment, and then subscribe.